I didn't believe my grandmother's superstitions until the old radio started turning on by itself at midnight. Always at the same time, 3:07 a.m., whispers between static would reveal to me dark secrets of our town that no one else seemed to know. One night, the voice called my name, and I knew there was something beyond a simple malfunction. The first time it happened, I thought it was a dream. I woke up startled, my heart pounding and cold sweat running down my back. The room was plunged into darkness, except for the faint glow of the moon streaming through the half-open window. The night breeze moved the curtains gently, as if something or someone was caressing them as they passed. I got up, determined to turn off that radio I didn't remember turning on. But before I could reach it, a low, raspy voice emerged from the static, pronouncing my name with chilling clarity. "Marcos," it said, and a stony silence followed that word. Fear paralyzed me. How did he know my name? Who or what was trying to communicate with me? For the next few days, I tried to ignore the incident. But every night, like a cursed clock, the radio came back to life. And with each dawn, the messages became clearer, more direct. They spoke of forgotten places, ancient rituals and shadows that moved with a life of their own. Each revelation plunged me deeper into an obsession to discover the truth behind these voices. One night, the voice gave me an address. An abandoned house on the outskirts of town, a place everyone avoided even in the daytime. I decided that I had to go, that I had to know. Armed only with a flashlight and my curiosity, I headed into the darkness, not knowing that this decision would change my life forever. The night was darker than usual, as if the sky itself had dressed in mourning. The abandoned house stood before me, its broken windows like empty eyes watching my arrival. The lantern trembled in my hand, not from the cold night wind, but from the trembling of my own body. "It's just an old house," I repeated to myself, trying to calm the frantic rhythm of my heart. As I crossed the threshold, the air became thick, laden with a musty smell and something else, something sweetish and rotten that made me frown. The light from my flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing sheet-covered furniture like ghosts waiting to awaken. Dust danced in the air, and every step I took echoed in the emptiness of the place. I advanced cautiously, guided by a force that was not entirely mine. The radio had mentioned a basement, and there I headed, toward a door that creaked with every movement like a whale. The stairs descended in a spiral of shadows, and as I descended, the whispers from the radio came back to my mind, louder and louder, more demanding. The basement was a sanctuary of horrors. Strange symbols were drawn on the walls with a dark substance I preferred not to identify. In the center, a makeshift altar with black candles, some still smoldering, and an open book that seemed to call my name. I approached, mesmerized, and as I touched its pages, the voices were suddenly silenced. All that remained was the sound of my breathing and the unbridled beating of my pulse. It was then that I saw it. In a corner, almost hidden by the shadows, an old radio set, identical to mine, but with one difference: this one was still on. Static filled the room, and a voice, clear and direct, spoke from the darkness, "Welcome, Marcos. You are now part of the story, our story. And tonight, you will tell it." The static of the radio took over the silence, and the voice that emerged from it echoed in the basement like an otherworldly echo. "Marcos, you have been chosen," the voice said, "to unveil the secrets that lie dormant beneath the skin of this town." My hands trembled, but I couldn't take my eyes off the old device. The voice continued, each word vibrating with a power I felt deep within me. "The whispers you have heard are the voices of those who, like you, sought the truth. Now, their souls are bound to ours, and together, we are eternal." I tried to speak, to ask what they wanted from me, but the words caught in my throat. The radio crackled, and in a flash of blinding light, the shadows of the basement came to life. Hooded figures emerged from the corners, moving toward me with disturbing synchronicity. "Your voice will join ours," the radio entity continued. "Every night, at 3:07 a.m., you will tell our stories, share our secrets. You will be the bridge between the living and those who cannot rest. Fear flooded me, but also a strange fascination. Was this the fate that awaited me? To become the storyteller of the dead? Before I could decide, one of the figures stepped forward, extending his hand toward me. In its palm, a small, shiny object, an ancient key. With this, you will seal your fate, the voice said. I took the key, and as I did, I felt a surge of energy course through my body. The basement lit up with a bluish light, and the hooded figures vanished into thin air, leaving only the radio and the echo of their last words. I left the abandoned house in the first light of dawn, carrying with me the key and a new truth. Now, every night, I sit in front of my own radio, and at 3:07 a.m., I begin to narrate. Stories flow through me, stories of terror, stories of love, stories of revenge, stories I would never have imagined. And you, dear viewer, are listening to one of them right now. Do you dare to keep listening? And so, night after night, I became the storyteller of the dead. The stories flowed through me, as if their voices echoed in my mind, demanding to be told. Each tale was a window into a world beyond reality, a place where the laws of nature twisted and horrors lurked in the shadows. The audience grew. People from all over tuned into my YouTube channel, drawn by the promise of stories that felt real, experiences shared by others. Comments were multiplying. How do you know so much? Where do you get these stories? Is it all fiction or is there more to it? I myself had no answers. The key I had been given in the basement was still in my possession, but no matter how many times I examined it, it revealed no secrets. I only knew that, in using it, it connected me to something beyond our comprehension, something that transcended time and space. One night, as I was telling a story about an enchanted forest, I felt a presence behind me. I turned, and there it was, a hooded figure, just like the ones that had disappeared in the basement. His face was hidden, but his eyes shone with an unearthly light. Mark, the figure said, his voice echoing in my head. You have fulfilled your purpose. Now it's time to choose. Will you remain the storyteller or cross over to the other side? I didn't understand what it meant. The other side? Death? But before I could formulate a question, the figure extended his hand toward me. In its palm, an ancient feather, with a sharp point like a knife. With this, you will seal your final fate, he said. Write your choice. I looked at the pen, feeling its weight and its power. What did it all mean? What lay beyond the stories it told? And then, without thinking, I took the pen and wrote one word in the air, continue. The figure smiled, and his hand rested on my shoulder. Welcome to the other side, Marcos. Your voice will echo for eternity. And so, I became part of the stories he told. My body disappeared, but my voice continued to narrate, caught between worlds, taking others to dark and unknown places. If you ever hear a story that seems all too real, remember that it could be me, the storyteller of the dead, whispering to you from the other side.